The name Kumar is very common across India. However, except Tamils, very few know that it originated from Kumaran, one of the names of Murugan. In this video, we are going to research about how Murugan got this name. All the names of Murugan, including Murugan, are title names and no one knows his given name. The title names are the names which carry a history that is related to the specific title. I would list some of the title names of Murugan and the historical reasons for those titles. But I would not elaborate any further except Kumaran and Kandan, the title of this video. Guhan, as he lived in hill caves called Guhai in Tamil. Kandan refers to phallus, as Murugan is known as the god of fertility. Kadamban, forest dweller, and as a boy he was a cow herder. Kadamba means forest, named after the Kadamba tree. Arumugan, he developed the abstract form of Sivalingam as six-pointed star, and each point of the star is called a Muham, and hence Arumuham. Aru means six. Murugan again refers to the star. If you connect all the 6 points, it would make six-sided polygon. It has 6 angles. 3 multiplied by 2 is equal to 6. Moviru Konan became Murugan. Velan, he designed his divine weapon after the male sperm cell. As it succeeds fertilizing the egg of the woman, it is called Vel, a symbol of victory, and hence Velan, the victorious. Kadir Velan, Murugan was the pioneer of agriculture. The panicle of the crop is called Kadir, and Vel is called seed obviously, and hence Kadir Velan means agriculturist Murugan. Kartikeyan, immediately after the rainy season, the Karkalam, he torched the palm forest, creating the land for agriculture. This name depicts that history. Muthu Kumaran, he might be the pioneer in pearl diving and hence called Muthu Kumaran. Muthu means pearl. There shall be many more names for Murugan, and each shall carry a history of its own. Moreover, there are and had been many and many more names for Murugan across the globe, like Dagan, George, Dragon, Al-Khidir, Baal, Baal, Dumusid, Tamus, David, Marduk, Tiamat, Amman, Amun, Rongo, Zeus, Dionysus, etc. In this video, I am concentrating on how Murugan got the names Kumaran and Kandan. What is the history that the name Kumaran carries? Tamil literature refers to a landmass called Kumari continent which submerged under the sea due to deluge. This is popularly known as Lemuria continent. Why is this land called Kumari and who gave it this name? Before answering it, I would briefly discuss another ancient name for Kumari continent. It is referred as Navalandivu in some of the Tamil literatures. Alas, some of the ancient Tamil poets did not understand what Navalandivu actually meant. They equated Naval with Jamun and hence theorized that Kumari continent was filled with jamun trees and hence was called Navalandivu. That is why it is referred as Jambudipa in Sanskrit literature, as Jamun means Jambu in Sanskrit. Some of the ancient Tamil poets were naive people who could not think beyond their own horizon. Kumari was a continent and hence a huge landmass, and it is thoroughly impossible that this type of tree alone filled or dominated the entire continent to be named after it. What a crazy idea that these people possessed. Hence, the word Navalandivu should have originated differently. We know that during deluge, Noah built a huge ship which measured 450 feet lengthwise and 75 feet in breadth and 45 feet in height to carry hundreds of livestock like goats, deer, bulls, birds, etc. as food for their unpredictable journey of unknown destination. Similar stories are also found in much earlier historical records like that of Zaizudra and Gilgamesh. No one could have successfully built such a huge ship unless the shipbuilding technology existed before deluge. Yes, it indeed existed. Ship was called Navai in Tamil, meaning a vessel which has its front like that of the front of the tongue. Valam means cruising around. Navai plus Valam plus Thivu, Navalantivu, which means the island cruised around by ships. Thus, Navalantivu means the island cruised around by ships. This is the correct meaning of the name. Navalantivu is the name of the Lemurian continent before the deluge. Thus, the fact that man had ships about 10,000 years ago could help us understand the spread of ancient man. Ancient man might not have migrated through the land. Ancient man could have migrated through the seas only. We would now decipher how the term Kumari originated. Just like the nonsense idea that Kumari continent was filled with German trees, there is an equally nonsense idea that Kumari continent was filled with aloe vera, which is called Kumari in Tamil, and suggesting that's how Kumari continent derived its name. What a nonsense again! In reality, it is from the notion that Kumari means young that aloe vera was named Kumari. Aloe vera helps retain youthful appearance and prolong life, and it was called the plant of immortality. Hence, Kumari continent did not get its name from aloe vera. I don't know how these guys come up with such strange ideas. How can a huge continent be filled with only one type of herb? In fact, according to some other ancient literature, there were 49 nations in Kumari continent, of which some of them were known for coconut trees and some other for palm trees and so on. Hence, Kumari did not get its name from aloe vera. Kumari is a title name which carries history, as all title names carry history. We know that Kumari continent submerged under the sea due to natural calamity. Millions of people perished in the deluge. Don't you think that this sad and phenomenal history be remembered by a title? Yes, indeed. This continent was named as Kumbalai Maritha Kandam, Kumari Kandam. Here, Kumbalai means together as a crowd. Maritha means perished, and Kandam means a large visible landmass called continent in English. Hence, the name Kumari tells the history that in this submerged land, a huge crowd of people perished. Kumari continent means the land where a huge crowd of people perished. Who gave this name? Somebody should have given this name. For some time, I had been saying that Murugan was born in ancient Lanka. But when I published the video that Murugan is the dragon of China and the West, I realized that Murugan was not born in ancient Lanka, but migrated to Lanka along with the survivors of the deluge. I got this change of idea as dragon is called the god of seas in China who protect people from floods. In the ancient Middle East, the sea dragon called Tiamat was also Murugan as seen through the history of Marduk. These facts hint that Murugan originally belonged to the submerged Kumari continent and he helped his people to escape flood and settle in ancient Lanka. This means that Murugan's own forefathers perished in the deluge. Hence, he not only named the submerged landmass as Kumari, but also called himself as Kumaran, meaning descendant of a huge crowd of people who perished. Not only that he called himself as Kumaran, but also called all his people Kumaran or Kumari, the common names for males and females respectively. This tradition of calling a male as Kumaran and a female as Kumari was well retained in the marriage ceremonies. When they wrote marriage agreements, they titled the bridegroom as Kumaran and bride as Kumari, which is continued to this day. Due to this surviving traditional practice, these titles happen to be restricted to their use only during marriage ceremonies. As these titles were applied only to the groom and the bride, the names Kumaran and Kumari connotated as referring to young people only. But the words Kumaran and Kumari originally did not mean young male and female respectively, but the descendants of people perished in the deluge. Look how the words take different connotations with the passage of time. That's how Murugan was called Balagan or Balan, meaning child or an young chap. That's how Tirupadi's original god Murugan was called Balaji. Thus, from the fact that among all the male gods like Shivan, Murugan, Indiran, Krishnan, Vishnu, Ayyappan, etc., only Murugan alone is called Kumaran, which means that it was Murugan who gave the title name Kumari to the submerged continent and also called himself as Kumaran. Having established how the name Kumari evolved and how Murugan became Kumaran, we shall now take up the related theme associated with Murugan. Murugan is called god of fertility, and that's the reason he was called Kandan. How did this name originate? I had already stated that shipbuilding technology existed at the time of the deluge. This fact reveals that there is a lot more to the pre-Diluvian culture than what we could surmise. Yes, there had been hundreds of professions and arts. It was Shiva who invented percussion sound equipments called Parai, Murasu, Udukai, etc. He also invented iron smelting technology. That was when man lived on the mountains called Krita Yuga. When man lived in the forest herding cows called as Treta Yuga, he developed wind musical equipment called flute. It was after the times of Murugan that flute had 7 holes. In Treta Yuga, man had developed and practiced weaving technology also. Kindly watch the research video, Biblical Proof for the Pre-Diluvian Technologies of Tamils. Hence, there had been hundreds of trades and professions even before deluge. As a huge population perished due to deluge and Murugan migrated to ancient Lanka along with survivors, he was worried that all the technologies and professions would perish unless his population increases to a threshold level which shall sustain and preserve these technologies, arts and culture. We need a threshold population not only for practicing these technologies and arts but also as consumers for the same to guarantee the economic viability of sustenance. Hence, post-deluge, Murugan felt the need to increase the population on a war footing to preserve the known technologies and arts. Hence, he encouraged his people to have as many children as possible. In the process, he advised his subjects to consume parts of a particular tree which enhances the fertility. The tree is known after Murugan as Murugan Maram, that is Murunga Maram, where Maram means tree. Thus, we now understand why Murugan was called the god of fertility. That is why he is called Kandan, as Kandu means phallus. Kandu deformed from Sandhu, which means the female sex organ. Sandhu, Kandu. The word Sandhu evolved as Sam plus Tu, Sandhu, where Sam, a Tamil word, means together all, that is the sperm, and Tu means eject. Hence, Sandhu is the place where the sperm is ejected. Not only that, Murugan revived Sivalingam worshipping cult for enhancing population of humans. Sivalingam stands for creation. Murugan also created an abstract form of Sivalingam. The yoni is represented by down-pointing triangle. The phallus is represented by up-pointing triangle. The merging of these symbols yield the 6-pointed star, which is the abstract form of Sivalingam. Shiva Siddha advanced the philosophy that Sivalingam represents duality of existence. As Shiva created the term Shivalingam, he himself was called by the first syllable of the name Sivalingam, that is, as Shiva, to record the fact that it was he who coined the term Shivalingam. Sivalingam was hitherto called as Isan, the giver. As both Shiva and Murugan were related to Sivalingam, both were referred to as Saivite gods. This fact was utilized by the Brahmins and they created a myth that Murugan was the son of Shiva in Hinduism. But Sivan and Murugan were not directly related to each other and they lived in different eras. Thus, we understand that Murugan is related to fertility and hence was called Kandan. Hence, behind every title, there is a historical reason. I had already discussed that Murugan invented agriculture to feed a huge migrated population. As his agricultural subjects were rich in all possessions, including food, he developed martial art form to protect his rich people from dacoitic raids. Apart from all these pioneering works, he also introduced for the first time a new way of life called Asivakam. As part of that way of life, he introduced the worship of images of gods for the first time in the history of mankind. Idolatry is one of his huge contributions which is least understood by humanity. I would make a video on this aspect soon. As a part of our Sivakam, he also developed Saptamada deities. I would discuss this in my next English video to be titled as God Murugan was a feminist.